Hey everyone, Steve Poplar here. Food shortage coming right our way. Now I know a lot of people just keep saying there's no food shortage. What are you talking about? It's just manufacturers having trouble getting stuff out of the factories. Other people are saying don't tell people to load up because that's what's going to cause a food shortage. That's what's going to cause a shortage at the store. Well, I'm here to tell you differently. I'm going to give you some hard numbers of what the recent harvests have been like in some countries so that you can kind of see that there's a lot less food out there. And there's one really big person out there hoarding a lot. And it's not me. Coming right at you, okay? Here's some numbers for you. The Canadian wheat harvest. It's at a 14-year low. They lost 40% of their wheat harvest. That's a big number. They lost. Canada's not even a small player either. They make a lot of wheat usually. They lost 40% of their wheat harvest this year. Their canola oil goes in a lot of products. 24% of that harvest was lost this year. Okay? Keep that in your hat. Let's keep going. Russia. They had a really bad winter. They lost 15% of their wheat harvest. Russia is the second largest wheat producer in the world, right behind China. Russia is the biggest exporter of wheat. They lost 15% of their harvest. That's about 3.2 million tons of wheat that just went poof because it wasn't harvested. This isn't your neighbor grabbing 2 extra boxes of baking mixes or brownie mix. Okay, that's not what's happening here. 3.2 million tons of wheat gone. The U.S. spring wheat. We lost 42% of that harvest. 42% of that harvest. Poof. And that's especially important. The Canadian wheat as well as the U.S. wheat, that's a special kind of wheat that apparently you need to have a certain percentage of that when you mix it with the with other wheat in order to make baking, or else you don't get the right texture and stuff like that. So bakers need a certain percentage of the spring wheat, and we don't have it because it just wasn't harvested because we lost it due to the that frost that hit Texas. Remember when they had their power grid go down? That was a deep freeze that just killed a lot of the spring wheat. Kazakhstan, another major wheat exporter, lost 12% of their wheat this year. The European Union, it's being estimated that they've lost 10% of their harvest. They had some bad winter there. Mostly France and Germany got hit there. The only major exporter for wheat that's doing okay so far this year is Australia. And guess who bought up all their supplies? Yes, China. China bought that all up. So that's gone now. All right. Continuing on, Brazil. They lost 20% of their corn harvest this year. Ouch. 20%. Brazil is a major player when it comes to the agriculture. They lost 20% of their harvest. Brazil coffee got this. Now, all these things from Brazil, they got hit with a massive frost that was unheard of, and it damaged a lot of plants, killed a lot of plants. And then they've been getting hit with this drought on top of it, too. They've just been getting hammered. But with that frost particularly, people are very concerned about the coffee. Some people are estimating that 30% of their coffee plant trees were killed. And that's not coffee plants. You don't just plant them one year and harvest them in 1 year. This is going to have ongoing damage that's going to carry over for years. The worldwide coffee production has been severely injured by the frost in Brazil. That's why everyone's been talking about the coffee thing. Brazilian sugar has been hit really hard too. Both the coffee and the sugar, I haven't seen hard numbers on that yet. Mexico, they've been suffering under this under this drought, just like the United States has. They've actually gotten a little bit of the worst of it, and they don't have good irrigation there. They really count on that rain. U.S. Farmers can actually irrigate a lot easier and a lot better, whereas the Mexicans, they really got hammered by this. They don't actually release hard numbers on this, but we've seen that food imports to their country have jumped 13%, over 13%. It was like 13.6%, which is a huge jump. Just really going to show that that they're really not looking at being able to pull things out of their fields. They're already looking abroad to buy those replacements. China, as I said before, they are the largest wheat producer in the world. They're trying to feed themselves, but they still need to import lots and lots. But they got hit with this nasty flooding. With the one province where 10% of their wheat comes from is the province that got hit the hardest this past flooding season. They had a bunch of dams fail on them. We're not hearing the full extent of that. The Chinese clamped down on that and stopped people from reporting on it, because I'm sure it's better than what they were reporting. That's why we're not going to allow reporters in there, because it's much, much better than what we've heard. Obviously, that's facetious. Chinese have clamped down because obviously it's probably much, much worse. They lost tons and tons of pigs. But that's a whole other separate thing. We're talking mostly about grains right now. Let's talk about export bans, because normally in a functioning world economy, everybody starts putting export bans on things because there's so much of that stuff going out there. There's no reason not to put export bans on, right? Well, Argentina has a beef export ban. So does Brazil. Argentina, one of the larger exporting countries, is talking about putting an export ban on wheat. Think about that. Export ban on wheat. Kazakhstan, one of the largest wheat exporters in the world, they have an export ban that I believe just expired a few days ago, and now it's into quotas. So it's like a soft ban, but that could come back rather quickly. As they get that harvest in, they're going to see what their harvest actually looks like. Brazil, I mentioned them before already. They have a beef export ban. We'll see how long that lasts. Malawi is moving to ban sorghum exports. That's maize. Belarus has a grain export ban. That's not just wheat. That's all grains. Russia has a wheat ban, wheat export ban. Romania also has a ban on exporting grains. Because once again, like I said, this is normal practice when everybody's panicking. And we're being told not to panic, because there's no reason to panic whatsoever, even when we see large export economies taking serious steps to protect themselves. Food prices are up 31% from last year. In 12 months, food prices, that's all food, and that's the commodity form. That's not what you pay at the store. That is what the suppliers are paying to get those supplies. 31% up in 1 year. Now think about this. I'm going to leave you with this one. Okay, we're hear people talking about it's the mom and pop going to the store and grabbing those extra cans of food. They're grabbing the extra brownie mixes. China's imports of wheat from 2019 to 2020 doubled. They imported twice as much wheat in 2020 as they did 2019. And then you know what they did this year? They obviously had way too much wheat now, right? So they increased over 2020. Their purchases increased another 40% this year. That's what it's going to look like. It's going to come down this year. They are importing massive amounts of food. Massive. I mean, we're talking millions of metric tons. We're not talking about a couple extra boxes. Their corn imports from last year to this year tripled. And we can't even get hard numbers on how many soybeans they've pulled in. They have sucked the world dry of corn, soybeans, and wheat. They are buying everything up that's not nailed down, and there's a lot of reports out there that they've already made advanced purchases on all these harvests that have not yet come in. They purchased the crops that haven't yet been harvested. There is hoarding going on, and it's by a country called China. Other countries are also looking at that too, but it's a huge, huge deal. There is a serious supply problem, and with China, there's a serious demand problem. Demand has spiked astronomically as China has made these purchases, and then on top of that, the supply has been decimated. Is there a food crisis? Yeah, there is. It's the numbers just don't add up. Where'd all that food go? And how do we still have food in the stores? That's the real question. And the thing is that people are playing shell games to kind of make it look like there isn't a problem. And there is a huge, huge problem. Take care of your families. Buy what you need to get. If you buy it, you might buy it, and China might not be able to buy it. But buy what you can, and make sure you have enough. All right, Steve Poplar out.